let's go to our Chinese connection. Tiger, good to see you back on the stage.
American media, because this is often reported, that the youth population in China aren't very happy either. There are, youth unemployment and the so-called movement of lying down flat. What we're witnessing is not specific, on the economic aspect. Of course, the politics is aside, because America has very interesting division. As your data points out, division is one of the stress points. In China, there's not so much division, but the economic outlook is the same. And I suspect for me, most of the more developed countries on the planet is a similar trend where what we're with, if you look at the history, it never really happened that way, because what we're seeing in history is the working population blends into the capitalists by, adding to which the people in power who's already in the positions of power today are, dug in their position, and before their retirement, they have no reason to let the younger population replace themselves. So what we're seeing is a solidification of the stratification of the society, the diminished opportunity for the youth, the overabundance of supply of labor in all skill sets, even in the more advanced skill sets as well. And certainly, I don't think America is even the worst in that regard, because America is the source of global capital. And because of that overflow of capital, there are more jobs in the more innovative part of the startup scene, for example. Though what we're seeing is, of course, the larger players, due to their scale, will continue to dominate. Overabundance and over-competition of the labor force. The effort you have to make to earn a respectable living, to be comfortable enough to be dating someone, for example, and paying for dinner if you're old-fashioned. Job performance reviews to even sustain their not so great livelihood. And a lot of people just check out.
Are you serious? Do you really need to come back in 3 minutes? I guess he does. Dating. I'm one partner.
It's about $20, like if you're to convert it.
Oh my
gosh,
gosh!
It's a really good place.
I would love to date in China. I'm dating in the wrong country. Oh my goodness, this is incredibly helpful. I did not mean to shut Tiger down. I was just really curious, but we'll come back to Tiger.
About the third of the cost of Bucky's brunch.
Thank you, Victoria. All right, let's go to Steve, followed by Linda. Steve, my main. What do you think of this, Steve? And how are you doing emotionally?
Well, I'm a total emotional and psychological wreck as normal. I think the stratification of income in the economy. I think there's another component that hasn't been hit on here when we talk about the angst and the anxiety within the society. I think there's a social media component to this that, if my life isn't what I see people posting on a social media site and they're doing all these wonderful things, then obviously I have nothing to live for, and I'm not where I need to be. But I think there's a little bit of delusional thinking too about leaving the country, because they may perceive that they could go somewhere and hit a better quality of life. And I think globally, with the global pressure and competition, look at England. Are you going to go there and get a better life? France, Spain. But I think there's economic components. I think there's political divisions that's creating anxiety too, because there's such a division. But I really think is that we're seeing the fruition of economic policy and I've hit on this a lot, that started in the late 70s, early 80s, where we started offshoring. And now the things, I was telling my son the other day that when I first got out of school, I knew people in different heavy manufacturing cities. You could just take off and within decent job, one that you could decent money at. Maybe you wouldn't want to stay there your entire life, but the opportunity and the options was there. And I think the younger people are seeing shrinking opportunities, and I think they can realize that. My avenues are limited, and when we started talking about housing and different things, so there's a lot of pressure on all fronts, and I don't think there's a simple solution like moving out of the country. I could be one that proverbial, I'll go from the frying pan to the fire type thing. So, I don't know. I think it's all the above, and some of the speakers have hit on some really good things, and I think people looking at social media is seeing someone else, and my life's great, and then you take an inventory of your life and you say, well, it's not stacking up, so obviously there's something with me, and then you get anxiety, depression, and stuff like that. And then, another component of this, and I see it all the time, the younger people are having a very, very bad addiction issue with hardcore drugs. And I think it's a component of what we've been talking about. I think this anxiety.
If a guy wants to relocate, I'm in Philadelphia, which is mildly expensive, not New York, too. So I do agree with. What does it cost to take a person? Let's not be. You would ask a person on a date, what's it take to take them out to dinner in West Virginia? How much, Steve? What are we talking dollars?
Well, if I was a young person, I was looking at taking a lady.
This is a classy guy, Steve. Thank you. I bet you are a class. This is a classy guy, Steve. Thank you. I bet you are a class act. Always great to see you, my friend. Tiger, can you give, before I go to Linda, can you give me the figure? People estimate $20 to take someone out on a date in China. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate actually, because Victoria actually lived in China, I know, so she actually even speaks the language. And obviously, if you want to move to China, please follow her, way of doing it, because I'll only be happy there if you fully integrate. At least try to integrate. But yeah, I took 8 people out for a banquet of over 10 dishes in China, and it's a very decent place, and it only cost me.
I guess I would say this. I think why do two-thirds of young people leave the country? I actually agree with Steve. I think seeing what other people are doing on social media, I think that creates what he's talking about, where I think they're like in their early 20s, like kind of getting they don't have enough money to like live on their own. When I got my first apartment, I live in Ohio though, so I'm gonna say this is Ohio prices, but my first apartment was $555 a month. And so when I got paid, and I still had money left to put in my savings, and I still had money left to go out with friends, and we would go out to the bar, we did happy hours, we'd eat out, we'd like little activities and stuff, and I still had money to put away to go travel. And I noticed a lot of the younger people now, costs are so high, and I don't figure, like I said, years ago, 15 years ago, whatever, I would go out with my friends. So I did notice I tend to be kind of socially isolated. So I think maybe just disappointment with the state of the country, where things are at as far as inflation, costs, medical care is like pace of life is a little slower. I did like the work week was a little bit shorter. I did like I have considered it myself. Just wanting a different perspective, wanting to see how other people live. I've just always been curious what it's been like to live in another country, and that's all I want to say.
What a wise woman.
He took me out. He did take me out for my birthday. He did take me out for my birthday. We went to what is it? The Texas Roadhouse, and I ordered whatever.
Thank you so much, Linda. And let's go now to my dear friend, candidate for Congress, John Kitover, who goes on lots of dates, who's running for Congress, who is a fiscally disciplined Republican. John, you're running for Congress, trying to set this country on hopefully a more hopeful path. Why do 2/3 of young people want to leave the country, John? And what do you make of it as a candidate for Congress?
Hey, Scott, Marshall, Howard, Allen, everybody else. I am 43 years old. And you know what? I like Scott's Trump nation. I think Scott has incredible political analysis, and his vocabulary, his words, his descriptions, his knowledge is, he's a subject matter expert. And so, I think that the same problem has been happening for the past 100 years or 200 years. Generations and wealth transfer and industry and economic, just national. We do live in a global community. And I just think that education at this point is still our great DJ and other people. I will say we're using illicit substances, the kinds of substances you might find on boats now on fire in the Caribbean because our Air Force is so proficient at attacking drug smugglers coming from Venezuela. But returning to education, I was hoping I could share what the Buddha wrote in his Dhammapada on happiness, because that's what we're really talking about, is how do we increase the happiness for the common man and common woman here in America, so when you graduate college, you don't have $100,000 student loan debt, you don't get taken by predatory credit card and high interest loan companies. So I would just like to read the wise words of the Buddha. This is about
3 seconds with the Buddha.
Truly, we dwell in happiness. Others hate, but we do not. Surrounded by those who hate, we live free from hatred. Truly, we dwell in happiness. Others are sick, but we are not. Surrounded by sick people, we live free from sickness. True in happiness. There is no fire like lust, no evil like hatred. There are no lust, no evil like hatred. There are no disasters equal to the khandhas. There is no. When we see this clearly, we achieve nirvana, the ultimate bliss. Health is the highest price.
Thank you, John.
Health is the highest price.
Thank you, John. It is your birthday week. And we are going to go next to wait, I just lost my place. I'm so sorry. Mods, can you help me out? Because John, challenging. There we go. David G, my main man from California. It's great to see you, my friend. Congratulations. I'm sure you are still glowing from the showing of your wonderful Dodgers. David, why, with such a great baseball team and so many other things, do people want to leave the country? And what do you make of all this?
Part of the whole American experiment, if that's how we should frame it, is that you have to have the buy-in of the younger generations. When I came of age, when my dad came of age, I was in the room. I mean, there was no negotiating what you needed to do to be successful in this country, or at least try to be. America gives you the opportunity. Unless you're born wealthy, trust fund, or you can sing and be a Michael Jackson or an NFL athlete. You gotta use your wits. You gotta use your knowledge, your education, your family upbringing, wherever you live, and you gotta make a go of it. And part of, nobody said it was going to be easy, but if you sat on your ass, you weren't going to get anywhere. Well, but we had an America where when you made that effort, you were deriving some modicum of success and some benefit. You're talking about what it costs to date a woman properly, or a man, or any other persuasion you might have in terms of wanting a long-term relationship. And you had confidence that if you were able to attract that significant other, you could put down roots and have a family or make a goal of it and see some sort of benefit out of your struggle. I don't think the youth today, see the juice being worth the squeeze. I've traveled a fair amount, and I've seen these keyboard, influencers / digital nomad. That's the word I was looking for. And I don't know how well they're doing or not doing, but it seems to me that many are saying to themselves, sorry about the plane overhead, look, I can go travel the world, take my energies and my youth, and not give it to this XYZ corporation who's just going to drain my youth, offer me no upside, and at the end of the day, sorry, there's some banner plane flying overhead. Apologize for that. Yeah, the temptation of the exotic, the temptation of beautiful beaches and being able to open my laptop and make money. That's kind of the new dream. Forget waiting 30 years to get that gold watch and ride off into the sunset. I'm going to do it right now. These have horrible implications for corporations that need to hire, rank and file workers to buy into the system. And if you can't use your money in this country, you can't make enough money in this country to buy a house where a big chunk of American wealth is created in the form of ownership. Then what am I doing? I'm giving you my youth and my time. And for what? I think that it was rents weren't through the roof. Hollywood was probably at its apex, and people came here to ply their trade or dreams or go to college here. And I've traveled over 30 countries, and I always love coming back to this beautiful weather. But at some point between when I first got here today, a lot of things have broken down. Homelessness.
It's moved from, like, say, California, where I'm at, to another state, and there's been that experiment to see that happen. Ultimately, those people end up increasing to be able to reap the benefits of, or at least don't see a real long-term future of most people being able to reap those benefits. On top of that, somebody's talking about employment, but let's think about this. On top of that, you have employers who not only, first it was the blue-collar jobs that were being shipped overseas, the factory workers and, middle America, all those areas. Well, now you have these white-collar jobs being shipped overseas to other different countries. You have sometimes the use of H-1B visas, right, to bring in people to the United States and almost work those people like, almost pseudo slavery because they don't have any opportunities to move from one company to another because they need to be sponsored. But those are replacing. And now you even have AI coming in to replace entry-level jobs that a lot of people were gotten straight out of college. Some of those jobs that would have been starting to bottom-level starting point at a company or a corporation or a business. And eventually, and I think the last 20 years, right, and it continues to increase, right? You can understand why individuals, and the generation accuses the younger generation of being too consumed about this, too consumed about that. I think the great thing about social media, particularly YouTube and other things, is that people do get an opportunity to get a full view. It's not like the content creators out there just telling you, it's just great, go to Malaysia. They are giving people ups and downs of what it's like to live there. They're really getting to see that. So what people are seeing, whether or not they should or should not move there, whether or not they like it or whatever trade-offs they get from being anywhere, I think that you have a lot of people who are dissatisfied with the state of the United States of America. It doesn't matter what your politics are, because I see millennial, Gen Z, right, wherever they are, all feeling a lot of same kind of anxieties and same kind of social economic issues and these kind of things going on. And so you can see at that point where you would have 2/3 of people literally considering maybe it's time to exit the United States, right? Maybe this system isn't it anymore, and it doesn't appear that the politicians, regardless of whether they're left or right or any other people, are really seriously trying to do anything to change and solve that situation. All they're doing is giving platitudes. You just got to work harder. You just got to do this. And you got to do that.
If you don't have anything nice to think or say, this is my response from hanging out with my mom since Monday. She's Queen Jean the Mean. And I just dropped her off at her friend's house, so I have a 24-hour break from her never-ending mouth. She was made for Clubhouse. She was a super troll. Anyways, I'm going to do a meditation here. Got all my phone set up to go live. Looking at great clips. I'm gonna read a book. Relax. Get some wisdom soaked into my veins. Because I gotta tell you, I am so sick of listening to my mom formulate an opinion on every single thing everything she sees or hears. She's got an immediate and automated response, and she's very much like that scene with Mel Brooks where he screams "Fuchsia" because she has to get the last word in on everything. It's crazy. She's not a pleasure to be around, but the way we deal with our environment is the most important thing, and I'm not dealing with it well, to tell you the truth. I'm not doing that great. My success here has been low, and it's a me problem. She says I have no patience, and I agree with that. I have no patience. This phone doesn't want to get alive.
Freaking watch more of his freaking material and contrast it against what, like, for example, and that's why you keep using Lifetime is the most relevant example, which is one reason why they freaking picked him up. That Lifetime.
Look at this, John. See if anybody shows up to this room. This is the Buddha. Verse number 14, the Dhammapada. The Buddha's conquest, 14, the Dhammapada. The Buddha's conquest is beyond all, and what feat can anyone deign to lead the Buddha? The Buddha is one who has crushed the bonds of desire, the lures that lead one astray. And what feet would you have the Buddha move? For he has no feet. Appearance of a Buddha, to shun all evil, to do good, to purify one's heart. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. This is the teaching of the Buddhas. Patience that is enduring, restraint according to the monk's discipline, moderation in food, at peace in remoteness and solitude, devotion to meditation. Oh, this is the teaching of the Buddhas. A shower of gold pieces cannot satisfy craving. Sensual pleasures bring little sweetness, cause much suffering. The discipline of the Buddha finds joy in the extinction of desire. Oh, threatened with danger, many go for refuge to gardens, sacred trees, mountains and forests. But such is not safe refuge. Such is not the supreme refuge. By means of refuge, no one is able to free himself from all these sufferings. However, if one turns to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha for refuge, realizes the Four Noble Truths, dukkha, dukkha's cause, the cessation of dukkha, and the Noble Eightfold Path that leads to the cessation of dukkha. Subnote, dukkha is the Pali word for pervasive unsatisfactoriness, the many kinds of suffering from the small to the great. This indeed is the safe refuge. This is the supreme refuge. Turning to this refuge, one frees oneself from all suffering. A supreme being is hard to find. He is not born in many places, but wherever he is born, the family of such a wise one prospers. Blessed is the appearance of the Buddhas. Blessed is the teaching of the Dhamma. Blessed is the unity of the order. Blessed is the disciplined life of its followers. Whosoever honors those worthy of honor, the Buddhas or their disciples, who have overcome the obstacles to development and have rid themselves of grief and lamentation, who have attained inner peace and have become fearless. His merit cannot be measured by anyone as this much or that much. Happiness. Truly we dwell in happiness. Others hate, but we do not. Surrounded by those who hate, we live free from hatred. Truly we dwell in happiness. Others are sick, but we are not. Surrounded by sick people, we live free from sickness. Truly we dwell in happiness, free from struggles while others struggle. Surrounded by struggling people, we live free from conflict. Truly we dwell in happiness, having no obstacles at all. We shall feed on joy like radiant gods. Okay, I'm going to take a little reading break here and play the Dhammapada.
Popular understanding of Judeo-Christian doctrine, but where...
So ABC was here today.
How did you know?
The furnace is so quiet.
Yeah, it's done.
Beware of the anger of the mind. Master your thoughts. Let them serve truth. The wise have mastered body, word, and mind. They are the true masters. Impurity. You are as the yellow leaf. The messengers of death are at hand. You are to travel far away. What will you take with you? You are a lamp to lighten the way. Then hurry, hurry. When your light shines without impurity or desire, you will come into the boundless country. Your life is falling away. Death lighten the way. Then hurry, hurry. When your light shines purely, you will not be born. Neglected, the sacred verses rust, for beauty rusts without use, and unrepaired, the house falls into ruin, and the watch without vigilance fails. In this world and the next, there is impurity and impurity. When a woman lacks dignity, when a man lacks generosity, but the greatest impurity is ignorance. Free yourself from it. Be pure. Life is easy for the man who is without shame. Impudent as a crow, a vicious gossip, lame, meddlesome, dissolute. But life is hard for the man who quietly undertakes the way of perfection with purity, detachment, and he sees light. If you kill, lie, or steal, commit adultery, or drink, codes, you trouble your quietness endlessly. These envying roots, destroy them. Hate. Illusion is a net, desire a rushing river. How easy it is to see your pride, like a cheat covering up an unlucky throw. Dwelling on your brother's faults multiplies your own. You are far from the end of your journey. The way is not in the sky, the way is in the heart. See how you love whatever keeps you from your journey. But the Tathagatas, they who have gone beyond, have conquered the world. They are free. The way is not in the sky, the way is in the heart. Things arise and pass away, but the awakened awake forever. The just, what is right and what is wrong, receiving all opinions equally, without haste, wisely observe the law. Who is wise, the eloquent or the quiet man? Be quiet and loving and fearless. For the mind talks, but the body knows. Gray hairs do not make a master. A man may grow old in vain. The true master lives in truth, in goodness and restraint, non-violence, moderation, and purity. Fine words or fine features cannot make a master out of a jealous and greedy man. Only when envy and selfishness are rooted out of him, he grow in beauty. A man may shave his head, but if he still lies and neglects his work, if he clings to desire and attachment, how can he follow the way? The true seeker subdues all waywardness. He has submitted his nature to quietness. He is a true seeker, not because he begs, but because he follows the lawful way, holding back nothing, holding to nothing. Beyond good and beyond evil, beyond the body and beyond the mind, chew upon the way, nor ritual, nor book learning, nor withdrawal into the self, nor deep meditation. None of these